The face is a canvas, and every man carries his story there, etched in micro-expressions, revealed in the quiet tension around the eyes, betrayed by the jaw when the weight of the world presses too hard. Most men rush to paint that canvas with noise, with effort, with explanations, and with the desperate need to be understood. They overcorrect, they perform, they chase reactions. But the most powerful men do something radically different. They leave it unfinished. In that restraint, silence becomes an aura, not emptiness, but presence. Stillness becomes a language spoken without sound. Control becomes a message louder than any declaration. True power does not announce itself. It does not demand attention or rush to prove relevance. It does not plead to be chosen. It simply exists, anchored, unmoving, and in its presence others feel an almost magnetic pull to lean in, to decode, to understand what is not being offered freely. A man who chases is readable, predictable, and transparent in his urgency. A man who stands still becomes a ghost, felt before he is understood, remembered before he is explained, sensed rather than analyzed. Look closely at a man who does not pursue validation. His posture is relaxed but intentional, not careless. His shoulders settle naturally. His breathing is slow. His eyes do not scan the room for approval. They observe, measure, and remain calm. He's not withdrawn, not disconnected, not cold. He's contained. His emotions are not spilling outward because they are governed inwardly. This is not arrogance. This is not emotional unavailability. This is mastery. Most men misunderstand attraction because they confuse motion with influence. They believe effort creates value, pursuit earns attention, and noise commands respect. But in reality, value creates pursuit. Gravity does not chase matter. Matter moves toward gravity. The man who understands this principle does not raise his voice. He does not compete for space. He does not rush forward to be seen. He allows the room to adjust to him. He becomes a shadow, present, grounded, unavoidable. And when a man stops chasing, something subtle but irreversible happens. The tension reverses. The dynamic shifts. The world, sensing certainty, turns toward him. Number one, the silent axis of power. The man who does not chase is not passive, he is anchored. And that distinction changes everything once you see it clearly. Passivity is a loss of center, a quiet drift where energy spills outward in scattered reactions, while anchoring is concentration, the deliberate gathering of self into a stable core. When a man becomes anchored, his emotional center no longer lives in response to texts, glances, validation or rejection. It lives within him, steady and unmoved. His breath naturally slows because there is no internal panic to outrun. His movements simplify because there is no need to perform. His presence begins to feel heavier, not in an aggressive or imposing way, but in the way gravity feels heavy, inevitable, calm, and undeniable. This is where most misunderstandings about Sigma males collapse. The refusal to chase is not a tactic, not a game, and not rejection. It is orientation. His life is oriented inward before it ever expresses outward. He wakes with direction instead of urgency and clarity instead of hunger. He listens without rehearsing responses because he is not seeking control of the outcome. He speaks without over-explaining because he trusts that what needs to land will land. There is no nervous energy behind his words, no rush to be understood. And people feel this immediately, even if they cannot explain it. The human nervous system is exquisitely sensitive to coherence. When a man's inner state is aligned, when his thoughts, emotions, and actions point in the same direction, others subconsciously begin to synchronize to it. This is why silence becomes his aura, not because he withholds or plays distant, but because he does not leak. The man who chases leaks attention, intention, and self-worth into the external world, hoping something will return it. The anchored man stands still, and in standing still, he gathers attention without asking for it. His stillness creates contrast in a world of noise, motion, and desperation. He becomes a reference point, a quiet axis around which conversations subtly reorganize. Emotions settle, and curiosity begins to orbit. People lean in without realizing why. This is the beginning of influence. Not force, not persuasion, not performance, but presence. A presence that does not pursue because it does not need to. And in that absence of need, something powerful and unmistakable emerges. Number 2, emotional regulation as unspoken authority. Most men are ruled by momentum. Emotion surges, reaction follows, words spill, and the moment passes with regret. Life becomes a series of reflexes rather than choices. The composed man interrupts this cycle at its root. He does not suppress emotion because suppression leaks. He regulates it. Regulation is not numbness, not indifference, not coldness. It is delayed. It is the quiet space between stimulus and response where power is decided. He feels the same rush of anger, attraction, fear, or excitement as any other man, but he does not allow it to seize the wheel. He observes it, names it internally, and lets it pass through without acting prematurely. This is why certain men appear unreadable under pressure. Their face remains neutral, not because nothing is happening inside, but because everything is being processed rather than discharged. The nervous system stays anchored. Breath remains slow. The body does not betray the mind. This is the quality people mistakenly romanticize in cinematic figures. Not their chaos, not their destruction, not their volatility, but their containment. Containment is discipline made visible. When pressure rises, most men speed up. Their speech tightens. Their gestures grow restless. Their need to prove something becomes obvious. The composed man slows down. His pupils are steady. His jaw loosens. His voice lowers by half a register. His movements become economical, almost minimal, as if nothing extra is required. And suddenly the room recalibrates around him. Conversations soften. Tension redistributes. Others unconsciously mirror his pace. Authority does not come from volume, dominance displays, or forced confidence. It comes from nervous system dominance. The man who remains calm when others are tense becomes the emotional leader without ever asking for the role. People begin to defer without knowing why. Women sense this immediately, not intellectually, not through analysis, but biologically. Calm signals safety. Safety creates openness. Openness invites curiosity. Curiosity invites pursuit. This is not manipulation, and it is not strategy. It is resonance. His presence communicates nothing here is out of control. Over time, this composure becomes a reputation that precedes him. He is trusted in chaos. He is sought in uncertainty. His calm becomes a shadow that follows him into every interaction, subtle yet undeniable, shaping outcomes before a single word is spoken. Number 3, the Stoic lineage of non-chasing men. This posture is ancient, older than language, older than theory, and older than the need to explain itself. Long before modern psychology tried to dissect behavior into labels and frameworks, disciplined men lived by an internal code that required no applause. The Stoics understood a fundamental truth that still unsettles the modern mind. The man who governs himself cannot be easily governed by others. Marcus Aurelius did not chase admiration, loyalty, or affection, because he understood that dependence is a quiet form of weakness. He cultivated inner order instead. His power was quiet because it was complete, self-sustaining, and not dependent on extraction. He did not need to pull energy, attention, or validation from others to feel whole. This is precisely where modern men become lost. They seek externally what must be constructed internally. They confuse attention with respect, intensity with depth, and reaction with purpose. The Stoic man moves differently. He builds a life that does not require constant validation. His identity is not renegotiated daily based on moods, approval, or social feedback. His values are stable because they are chosen, not borrowed. His emotions are not suppressed, but they are also not obeyed blindly. They are acknowledged, processed, and released without spectacle. This creates a rare kind of gravity. People instinctively lean toward men who are not internally fragmented, men whose presence feels grounded rather than performative. The refined Sigma male is not antisocial, detached, or emotionally barren. He is self-contained. He does not broadcast scarcity. He does not rush to be understood. He becomes a masterpiece, not through intensity, but through consistency. Day after day, he chooses restraint over reaction, depth over display, silence over noise, and presence over performance. He understands that power compounds quietly, the way structure compounds in architecture, invisible until it is undeniable. Over time, this discipline reshapes how the world responds to him. What looks like indifference from the outside is actually devotion to inner structure. What looks like distance is clarity. What looks like mystery is simply a man who no longer leaks his energy into places that cannot hold it. Number 4, why attraction moves towards centered men. Attraction is often misunderstood as desire responding to effort, as if consistency, attention, and pursuit are currencies that can be exchanged for affection. In reality, attraction responds to orientation, not effort. People are drawn to what feels complete, not to what is trying to be completed through them. A man who chases unconsciously communicates lack. His movement says he is leaning forward, reaching outward, attempting to fill a space inside himself. A man who stands grounded communicates the opposite. He signals fullness, not superiority, not arrogance, but inner stability. His presence suggests that his emotional center is intact, whether or not anyone chooses him. This is emotional self-sufficiency. He enjoys connection, but he does not rely on it to regulate his worth, his mood, or his identity. That distinction is subtle, but it is everything. This is where polarity is born. Not dominance over women, not control or manipulation, but stability beside them. When someone stands firm within themselves, others instinctively orient toward them. Women chase, not because they are tricked or strategically influenced, but because curiosity awakens in the presence of emotional depth. Depth feels rare. It feels unresolved in a way that invites exploration. The man who does not chase becomes a ghost in the mind. He lingers because he does not rush to conclude the story. He does not over-explain himself or collapse mystery through excess availability. His pacing invites imagination. His restraint invites projection. And projection fuels desire because the mind fills silence with meaning. This is why availability without boundaries dissolves attraction, while selective presence amplifies it. Constant access removes tension. Predictability closes the loop too quickly. But a man who understands himself understands timing. He knows when to step forward and when to remain still. He understands that space is not distance but breathing room. It is the pause, that allows anticipation to grow. He does not rush intimacy because he does not fear loss. He allows connection to unfold naturally, trusting that what aligns will move toward him without force. In this way, attraction becomes effortless, not because he is passive, but because he is centered. And when a man is centered, others feel it before he ever says a word. Number 5, the power of being unfinished. There is elegance in not revealing everything. The refined Sigma understands that meaning loses power when it is poured out all at once. He does not trauma dump to create false intimacy, nor does he overshare to be understood quickly. He does not explain himself into transparency just to reduce tension. Instead, he allows discovery to unfold naturally. This is not secrecy driven by fear. It is craftsmanship driven by self-respect. Like a great work of art, he reveals himself in layers, not because he is hiding, but because depth deserves time. Each interaction adds texture rather than exhaustion. Each conversation leaves something untouched. People sense that there is more beneath the surface, something unresolved, something unconsumed. That depth has not been drained, and so they return again and again. Curiosity is sustained not by mystery alone, but by restraint. This is the ghost effect at its highest expression. Not disappearance, but subtle withdrawal from excess. He does not vanish. He simply refuses to overstay. He leaves conversation slightly early, not out of disinterest, but out of discipline. He speaks slightly less than expected, allowing his words to land instead of spill. He permits silence to remain unresolved, understanding that silence often communicates more than explanation ever could. In that silence, others project value, intention, and meaning. And in doing so, he teaches them how to value his time without ever stating a boundary aloud. His absence speaks without accusation. His presence feels intentional rather than automatic. When he arrives, it feels chosen. When he leaves, it feels earned. There is no desperation in his energy, no need to anchor himself through constant availability. He understands that attention is not captured through pursuit, but through structure. When a man is always present, he becomes background noise. When a man is selectively present, he becomes a signal. This is where influence becomes effortless. He no longer needs to chase attention, approval, or validation. Attention follows structure. Respect follows rhythm. People lean in because there is room to lean. They listen because not everything has already been said. And over time, without raising his voice or demanding space, the refined Sigma becomes unforgettable. Not because he revealed everything, but because he never gave it away too easily. Number 6, becoming the calm others orbit. The final evolution is this: the man becomes the calm that others unconsciously orient themselves around. Not because he demands attention, but because his presence resolves tension the way silence resolves noise. He is no longer proving anything to the world, to women, to rivals, or even to his past self. The urge to perform has dissolved. The reflex to react has softened. Where there was once friction, there is now flow. His life moves with rhythm rather than urgency. His days have structure but not rigidity. His thoughts are ordered, not obsessive. His emotions pass through him like weather rather than chains. He feels deeply, but he is not ruled by feeling. This is elite self-mastery, and it is often misunderstood. It is not coldness. It is not emotional withdrawal. It is not indifference disguised as strength. It is integration. He has faced his shadow, not to destroy it, but to understand it. He knows his hunger, his anger, his desire, his competitiveness, and his capacity for darkness. He does not suppress these forces, nor does he let them leak out unconsciously. He chooses when and how to engage them. Because of this, his energy is clean. There is no desperation beneath his words, no hidden agenda behind his kindness, no neediness hiding inside his silence. People feel this immediately, even if they cannot articulate it. His presence feels grounded, safe, intriguing, rare. In a world addicted to speed, he moves deliberately. In a culture obsessed with validation, he is internally anchored. The world today is loud, frantic, overstimulated, and constantly chasing something it cannot name. Attention, approval, status, relief. Most men are pulled outward by this noise, reacting to every stimulus, every message, and every opportunity to be seen. The man who does not chase stands in quiet contrast to all of it. He does not withdraw from life, but he does not run after it either. He builds, he refines, he observes, and contrast is powerful. Contrast creates attraction without effort, not only romantically, but also socially, professionally, and spiritually. People lean toward what feels stable in an unstable environment. Opportunities find those who are not grasping for them. Respect gathers around those who are not begging for it. When a man becomes still inside, the world begins to move toward him on its own terms. Conversations deepen, trust forms faster, invitations appear without pursuit. This is not mysticism, it is psychological gravity. Calm is rare, self-command is magnetic. And inevitability replaces urgency. He no longer chases outcomes. He prepares himself. He no longer seeks to be chosen. He becomes someone others choose naturally, quietly, without pressure, without pursuit, and without him ever needing to ask.